Y'all ready? I heard Billy. Are y'all ready for today? Good God. Dude, I'm excited and I'm ready. Put your hands together for a worship team. Wow. Wow. I'm so thankful that we have a church full of people that are not only talented, but are anointed. That we can walk into this place, even though it's a rental facility, and we can see God do some incredible things. I got some more props they're bringing out to me, but that's okay. Just don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Just don't pay attention. So we've been in this series, Get Off the Throne. Everyone say, Get Off the Throne. And we've been talking about how it can be really easy in life to put things on the throne that don't belong there. We talked about how we can put our power on the throne. That's our control. We talked about how we can put our plan on the throne. I'm the worst at that. About how we can put our picture, that's really our image, on the throne. We can put our preference on the throne. And then Pastor Whitney, good God. Last week, our protection. Such a good word. How we can put our protection on the throne. And we think that we're our protector, but I got a word for us today. How many of you believe that he's your waymaker? You believe it. We believe that he's our waymaker. Well, I got to tell you that today I've got a sandpaper message. You know what sandpaper is? Sandpaper is rough. It's covered in aggregate. Its goal is to remove some things. And so today it's a little bit of a sandpaper message, but man, I believe God said to teach it because he's been teaching it to me. Power, plan, preference, protection, picture. But today we're going to learn to get our purse off the throne. Get our purse off the throne. Our pocketbook off the throne. Our paycheck off the throne. They're not going to amen me at all today, Lord. Our provision off the throne, because we put our purse on the throne, and we think that our purse is the thing that's going to lead us and guide us and take care for us, and we're so excited that our purse is on the throne that we literally make it the king. We crown it king of our life, and we say, you know, above all, my purse got to be together. I got to have that money in line. Don't mess with my money. And we can come in and we can say that he's a way maker, but yet we have our provision on the throne. Is your provision on the throne or God? Is cash on the throne or the king? We have to really look at our lives and ask ourselves, is our money on the throne or the Messiah? My money don't jingle, jingle. It folds, right? Okay. I know your money folds, but is it on the throne? Like, are we honest? If we really ask ourselves, is God on the throne? Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. It says, no one, that includes me, can serve two masters. A master is someone who's on the throne of your life. 4, you will hate one and love the other. You will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot, here it is, serve God and be enslaved to the purse. Be enslaved to the money. Money, money, money. We love it so much. We write songs. It's all about the Benjamins, baby, right? We love it. She works hard for her money. Y'all know it. So hard for it, honey. If I could really sing, y'all would be in trouble, because every week I would just be hitting some stuff. But then, she take my money when I'm in need. Oh, she a trifling friend indeed. Oh, she a gold digger way over town, right? My wife is not a gold digger, she's a gold bringer. Come on, somebody. Proverbs 31 woman. Our money is so important to us that we write songs to it. We worship it. We put it on the throne. But there is one musician who I think in a song that she wrote, she understood this idea of getting off the throne. She wrote a song different about how we should view money, and it's Alicia Keys. And so I want you to hear the lyrics and understand how she had it right. Come on, little slow jams more, church. For the fortune, okay.
Some people live just for the fame.
I want to be famous.
Some people live for the power.
Oh yeah, that control.
Some people live just to play the game. Some people think that the physical things define what's within. And I've been there before, but that life's a bore, so full of the superficial. Some people want it all, but I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, Jesus.
Come on, who we singing
if I ain't
to?
got you, Jesus. Some people want diamond rings, some just want everything, but everything means nothing if I ain't got you.
Come on, put your hands together. I was not going to attempt that one. But she said, some people want everything, but everything means nothing if I don't got you. You're my way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, but I'll never give to you. Some people want it all. Is our purse on the throne? Are we living our life with the purse on the throne? It's easy. It's easy to crown the thing king. It's easy to live our lives thinking that's what's most important. We live our lives saying that Jesus is our Savior. Remember, there's a difference between Savior and Lord. Hey, Jesus, you stay over there on the cross. Do your cross thing for me, Jesus. Be my Savior, but I got somebody else that's Lord. I got something else that's the Lord of my life. Thank you for saving me, but I'm not going to actually follow everything that you say. It's a hard one, y'all. It's sandpaper to how we're living and what we're doing, and it's easy to fall into this. It's easy for me. It's easy for Rachel and I to fall into this. And so I just want to have a chat. Can we just have a chat? You know, if we don't deal with the first couple weeks of what we've talked about, then we leave the purse on the throne. When our preference is on the throne, it's easy to spend our money on whatever we feel.
Right.
If we can't deal with preference, then we're just spending whenever we want to spend. When our picture's on the throne, we spend money to impress other people when we know we shouldn't buy that junk. When our protection is on the throne, like Pastor Whitney talked about, when our protection is on the throne, we spend or save to feel safe. I had better go and buy all this stuff right now because I might not have money next month. You grew up in some financial trauma, you got to deal with it. The other side of the coin is I got to save every dollar and never have a smile in my life, right? Because we still have our protection on the throne. When our plan is on the throne, our plan to our life, then our math becomes our master. Okay, well, I make this much, and if I save this much, and if I put this much away, then in 5 years I can do this, and then I'll get this raise, and we start running our life based off of the plan, and we leave our purse on the throne. But do you know how most of us get ourselves in financial trouble? Is because the purse sneaks into the seat. We want Jesus to be master. We want Jesus to be Lord, but then just for a moment, the purse jumps on the throne. Now, I understand that there's extenuating circumstances that can come up and someone gets injured or there's a loss of a job or there's a business shutdown or a global pandemic or some little thing like that that happens that can cause some financial trouble. But if we're honest, everyone say honest. If we're honest, the reason that we find ourselves in financial trouble is probably because we did something stupid. We put the purse on the throne. We said yes to opening the purse in the wrong place. Have you ever opened the purse in the wrong place? You just go out to eat too much. I remember when Rachel and I first got married, we bought our first house. It was $91,000, our house. I'm about to sound so old. And our mortgage was $711. Our mortgage was $711. And I remember when we lived in that house, we had a month where we were like broke. And we were like, what do? We can't pay our mortgage. Our cell phone, Rachel got so mad at me. I didn't pay the cell phone bill. Her cell phone got shut off. She called me from at the church from her school, letting me have it because I got behind and didn't pay singular. This is how long ago this was. And we didn't have any money. And so we got onto our Wells Fargo account and we printed out our statements, because this is before you could just itemize it online, you know. We printed it out and we got a highlighter. And do you know how much money we spent going out to eat that month? $700. That's stupid. But some of us are still doing it. You're going to have to amen me from heaven, Lord. We're going to buy coffees. We're going to buy coffee. Whitney, how much is a good coffee? $6. Not Aaron. Aaron be buying it just black. He's like trying to get that, he's like $1. Yeah, two tops. But I see some of y'all, you got the caramel dripping down the side and you got the little foam and stuff on the top, $6, $7 coffee. That junk adds up. The purse is on the throne. Amazon makes it so easy. Do you remember when you used to have to go to a store? You used to want to buy something, you had to get in your car. Well, you had to get some cash. That's paper, money. You had to get in a car, drive somewhere, walk in a building, look at something on a shelf, talk to a human being, carry that object around in a buggy, put it in your car, come home and open it. Now, at like literally 11:30 at night, you're like, yeah, buy now, click. Am I being real? Our purse can quickly be on the throne. And then we spend our money doing stuff we don't want to do. You know, you don't just buy one margarita. You know that you want to quit smoking because it's fun to kill your tail, but it's also going to run down your bank account. You're smoking a pack a day. Just financially, that don't make any sense. We get these hobbies, you know. We get these hobbies, these things that we like. Rachel got a whole closet full of sewing machines. Baby, did you make that sweater? Oh, no, you bought that. Now listen, she's taking her shoe off. You know, Titus and I have got into racing RC cars. Yeah, okay, RC guy. And so, but do you know how out of control I've allowed that to get in my own life? I'm like, well, you know, we need the bigger one, the faster one. It's broke, but, it's broke. I just need to get something better. Like hobbies, these things that we can just quickly open the purse for. We talk ourselves into foolish spending because it's on sale. Just because something's on sale doesn't mean that we need it. Do we, Aaron's amen in me, okay. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean that we need that thing. I talk to people all the time. I love y'all so much, I do. I wouldn't talk about the stuff if I didn't love you. You know how many times I talk to people and they'll be having financial struggles, and they will have just went and bought a new car. And I'll say, well, what happened to your other car? Well, Pastor had an engine light on. Okay. And so I took it to the shop And the shop told me it was gonna be $1,800 to get the car fixed. Pastor, that's just so much, $1,800, that's just so much money. So do you know what I did instead? I sold it to them, and then I bought a brand new car that's $900 a month for 5 years. But it's what we do because we put our purse on the throne. Because, the real reason that we trade the old car in is not because it needs some work, it's because we are not fascinated with it anymore. Because our image is still up there and we haven't dealt with the first thing. You know what we need to do? We need to every once in a while just open our bank account and look at it. Just open it up and look at it and see what's happening there. And you know what will happen? You'll be shocked at your lack of stewardship. Now, not everybody, but some of y'all, don't be elbowing your wife or nothing. You just listen to it, People out to have bruised ribs. Everyone's going to the chiropractor this week in more church. But our preference is to pretend like everything's okay. As long as my mortgage and my bills and my cell phone and my food and my kids' stuff, as long as that's paid for, then everything else I can just go buck wild and not give it any management. Proverbs 21 verse 5. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Are we hasty with the purse? Rachel and I sat down just a couple weeks ago, and we looked through our bank statement, and you'd be shocked at the number of things that had slipped by that we forgot about. Unknown fees. Like, what is this? I'd bought her flowers like a long time ago, and somehow when I bought the flowers online, I'd signed up for something. They had been charging me $19.99 a month for a year. I got on my phone and I had bought an app, a note-taking app, that every month was charging me $4.99. I haven't used the app in 2 years. Do you know how much of this stuff just in our life just gets sucked out of us financially just from foolish spending? When the purse is on the throne, this is a hard sentence, y'all ready? Okay. When the purse is on the throne, we're living a life that's selfish, lazy, and purposeless. Oh, it's ugly. Selfish. It's all about me. It's all about me. My money is my money, and it's all about me. It's selfish when our purse is on the throne. It's lazy. Because we just do what's easy, right? Rachel and I have been there, just do the easy thing. And there's no purpose. No purpose for me, no purpose for my family, no purpose for my children, no purpose for God's kingdom. There's no purpose. And so how do we get our purse off the throne? I gotta take a drink, this is a hard one. How do we get our purse off the throne? What do we need to do? Two things, I got 2 points. We get our purse off the throne. Number one, through organization. Organization, everyone say organization. We get our purse off the throne through organization, and secondly, through obedience. Say obedience. There's my whole message, but I'm gonna say some other words. The way that we take the purse off the throne is through organization and obedience. First, organization, let's talk about it. Did you know that God only pours out into structure? All through the Bible, he only pours into structure. God formed Adam. He formed him, he organized his body, and then he breathed life into him. There was some organization. Before he poured out into the widow's jar, she had to have her sons go and organize a bunch of pots that she borrowed from the neighbors. And once it was organized, then God poured out. I think of the time that Peter was fishing and his boat was overwhelmed with fish. The only way that the boat could be overwhelmed with fish is because the boat had been built. And so God is only going to pour out into something that's been organized. And so the question is your money organized? Notice, I'm not even talking about given. I'm talking about just like in your daily allowance and what you're spending money on. Is your money organized? Is it structured? Do you know how to handle it? If you don't, talk to somebody. If you didn't grow up in a home with a mom or a dad who taught you how to manage money and how to figure some stuff out, that's okay. This room is full of moms and dads that would love to talk to you about how to manage your finances. I remember when Rachel and I had Lillian 9 years ago. We had Lillian, At this point, I was making $21,000 working for the church and didn't have insurance. And so we had Lillian, and medical bills, dude, come at you like a machine gun. I was like, what is my mailbox? I needed to get a bigger mailbox. There's just papers all over the ground. Like, so much mail. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. And so you know what I did? I just started throwing all of the mail into a laundry basket. Y'all saying yes because you got a laundry basket at your house right now full of bills. And so I threw all the bills into the laundry basket, and I kept saying, I'll figure it out later. But I wasn't smart enough to figure it out later. And so my mom and dad came into town, I don't know, 6 months later. And with embarrassment in my heart, I said, hey, Mom, Dad, I got to talk to you about something. And I went into the bedroom, and I got this laundry basket of mail, and I brought it out to my mom and dad, and I said, I need some help. I don't know what to do here. And you know what they did? My mom went out in the garage, and she got a table. She brought the table in the living room, and my dad just started opening envelopes. And they laid out every piece of mail, and they helped me get it organized, and we finally paid for our kid. We got her out of pawn, right, and we were able to pay for our kid. But do you know the only reason that they didn't come and repo Lillian? The only reason is because I had to go to somebody with more wisdom than me and say, I don't know how to do this. And so if you don't know how to get your money organized, talk to somebody about how to get it organized. It's the same thing for the church. You know, 7 years ago, we were in a financial train wreck around here. We didn't have elders, we didn't have directors, we didn't have a budget. The way that it worked, this is before I was pastor, is we had a lady who was maybe like 25, and she would collect the offering, and she would put it in her purse and take it home. Am I telling the truth? Tell me that can't turn sketchy real quick, right? Oh, we don't have any money for pizza. It's okay, just pull it up out of the thing. And so we realized this is not good. And so we created a count team. Aaron's the first person. He built a count team for the church. Now we have a count team of ladies that collect the offering and security guys that follow them around, and they take it to the church and they count it, and then it gets put in the bank account, and the directors have access to look at any dollar that's ever given or spent. And so because of that, the Lord's been able to open the floodgates of heaven and bring blessing down. And after we did that, somebody in our church sold their business for $3 million and brought a gift of $300,000, and that money launched us into new things. But the only reason that the thing was poured out is because there was a structure established. So my job as pastor is to continually create better structure so we can better manage the resources that God brings in. But the same thing is true in your life. Our organization determines the outpouring. Proverbs 16:13, wise people think before they act. Fools don't, and even brag about their foolishness. Did you know that we will spend 50 hours watching 3 different TV shows about a made-up ranch called the Yellowstone? Be watching 1800s and 1900s and 2020 or whatever, and we be watching 50 hours of programming, but we won't spend 5 hours getting our finances put together? Our purse is on the throne. We're just spending our life over here and wasting our resource over here. We have to get our finances organized. And I wasn't going to put this in, but I think it's just for one person. Organized also equals honest. Proverbs 13:11, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. Quit being shady. Quit being sketchy. Well, I'm a Christian. You can trust me. Watch yourself. Watch yourself. I don't got time. Okay. How do we take the purse off the throne? Number 1, organization. Everyone say organization. Number 2, obedience. The way that we get the purse off the throne is through becoming obedient. I already read this, but let me read it again. Matthew 6:24. No one can serve 2 masters. You will either hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. But right above that in verse 19, let me read it. It says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, and where inflation goes up, and where eggs are $39, and where gas is going up, and where what's up with all these taxes, and oh my God, Amazon ships so fast. Okay? Don't store up your finances all there. Verse 20, but store up. Here's where we're obedient. Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Verse 21, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. There's something about purse strings and heart strings, and they're weaved together. Where your purse is, there's where your heart is. I love you, God. I'm going to follow you forever, God. Thank you, Lord. You're my way maker. Oh, they doing the offering now? Oh, no. Thank you. I'm saying, like, it's a phony faith. It's a phony faith. It's a hard one. He told me to bring some sandpaper, and I said, okay. I'm up here doing it. My hands are sore. It's okay. There's a connection between our purse strings and our heartstrings. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 17. This is my job. Teach those who are rich in this world. That's y'all. If you spent $20 on a meal in the last month, you're rich in a global economy. Teach those in this world who are rich not to be proud, here it is, and not to trust in their money. Don't put your money on the throne. Not to trust in their money, which is so unreliable anyways. Their trust should be in God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. You know, God don't want a bunch of Christians walking around with frowny faces and, you know what I mean, broke all the time. That's not what it's saying. God wants you to live a life of enjoyment, but he wants you to be in obedience. Verse 18, tell them to use their money to do good. They should be rich in good works and generous to those in need, always being ready to share with others. By doing this, they will be storing up their treasure as a good foundation for the future so they may experience true life. But we've got to take our purse off the throne. Organization and obedience. There's a story when Jesus was out teaching and he met a guy that has been named the rich young ruler. I want to read you the story. Mark 10, I'm going to take a drink of water though, hold on. Mark 10:17. As Jesus was starting out on his way to Jerusalem, a man came running up to him, knelt down and asked, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said, "You got to know the commandments." And then he says, don't murder and don't cause adultery. And, he lists this big list. And then the guy says, "Teacher," the man replied, "I've obeyed all those commandments." I know, dude. I know, Jesus. I'm already doing all that stuff since I was young. Looking at the man, Jesus felt genuine love for him. You know, Jesus feels genuine love for you. That this might be the most uncomfortable sermon you've ever been in other than like one of our sex sermons. So like this and that, like that, talk about this. And so it might be uncomfortable, but it says, look what it says. Jesus felt genuine love for this rich young ruler. And Jesus says, "There is still one thing you haven't done," he told him. "Go and sell your possessions and give the money to the poor, and you'll have treasures in heaven." Listen, "Then come follow me." At this, the man's face fell, and he went away sad, for he had many possessions. His purse was on the throne. I'm rich. I'm young. I'm a ruler. I've got it all together. But Jesus, you asked me to give the one thing that takes away what I think I am. Did you see that Jesus said, "Come and follow me"? Theologians believe that Jesus was asking him to come and be one of his disciples. We could have had 13 disciples. This guy that we don't even know his name, we just know him as the rich young ruler, he could have had a book in the Bible. There could have been 5 gospels and he could have written one. This guy could have went on the most amazing journey of a lifetime and his name went down in human history. But because he left his purse on the throne, he walked away sad. Some people want diamond rings, and some just want everything. But everything means nothing if I don't have you. But is it true in us? Are we, if we look at ourselves honestly, is it real? Verse 23, then Jesus looked around to his disciples after the rich young ruler left, and he said, how hard it is for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. It's hard for the rich. I heard this story years ago when I was a kid about a man who loved to go on hikes. And so this guy was preparing to go on a long wilderness hike, and he got all of his camping gear all together. You know, one of the most important things that you can take while you're hiking is all your canteens, all your water. And so he loads up and he gets all of his canteens ready, and he goes out on his hike. And as he's hiking along, he gets lost. He gets turned around. He doesn't know where he is or how to get back, and he finds himself wandering around for days. And as he's wandering around, he begins to drink all of his water. And after just a few days, he realizes that he is fully out of fresh water. And he keeps wandering, and he sees off in the distance the mountain range, and he knows at the bottom of the foot of this mountain there's a camp there. And so if he can just get to this mountain range, he's going to survive. But it's still a 5-day hike. And he thinks there's no way I'm going to make it. And as he's walking on his last leg, thinks that he's about to die, he looks off and he sees out on the horizon a little shed. There's a little shed that's out on the horizon. He thinks, oh, I can go and get out of this heat. I can just go and relax. I can just go and sit down. And so he goes into the shed, and when he walks into the door of the shed, he realizes that it's not just a shed, it's a pump house. It's a pump house. It's a place that there's a well that's in the ground, and you can leave that there, Mason. And he realizes that in this shed, that maybe there's salvation. And so he runs over to the well, and he takes off all of his empty canteens, and he starts to frantically pump. Nothing comes out. I can imagine him crying out to God, God, come on. God, if you just make some water come out of this pump, Lord, I'm going to follow you for the rest of my life. Nothing. He pumps and he pumps and he pumps. I can imagine for hours until his hands run dry. And then discouraged and defeated, he goes and sits down in the corner, and he thinks there's no way I'm going to survive this. And as he's sitting in the corner of the shed, he looks over, and behind a rock up against the wall, he sees an old jar full of water. And he runs over and he grabs it, and as fast as he can, he opens it up, and right before he starts to take a drink, he looks down on the floor, and there's a note that was left for him underneath the jar. And the note says, do not drink. Use this water to prime the pump. The well never runs dry. Fill this jar for the next traveler. Prime the pump. You see, what's happened over time is the pipe has ran dry. All the water has evaporated. And he's standing there about to die. And he has a decision to make. He can drink what's in his hand. He can use what he's got to satisfy his momentary thirst. But he knows he still has a multiple day journey to get to where he wants to be. So he has to make a choice. Am I going to pour out what I can see and believe that there's more coming? And I can imagine that he sat and wrestled with this idea for a long time until he realizes, you know what? Even if I drank all of this, this is not enough to get me to where I want to go. This little bit can't even get me there. And so he said, you know what? I would rather trust that there's something below. And so he takes the water, the resource, and he says, I'm gonna prime the pump. I'm gonna pour it out. I don't see if there's anything there. He starts to pump, and he pumps, and he pumps, and he pumps. And before he knows it, he has enough resource to fill up all of his canteens. And I can imagine, come on. I can imagine that this traveler stuck his head under the faucet. I'm not gonna do it today, but stuck his head under the faucet, and he hydrated. He filled his stomach up. You know how you can feel the water slushing around in your tummy? He filled it up. He filled up his canteens. He filled up the jar and put it over in the corner. And he thought, thank God that I took the risk to prime the pump. The stream won't run dry for you. We just have to ask ourselves a question. Are we willing to prime the pump? Are we willing to take the thing that's in our hand and step into obedience and pour out where God's directed us to pour out? But it's scary. It's scary. Because we want to hold on so tightly to what we see. We want to hold on so tightly to what we've already got. But it's funny, because I really think that most Christians are just organization away from God's overflow. We're just a little bit of organization away from obedience, which would allow us to have overflow. God, overflow in my life. God, do it, Lord. Bless me. Bring provision in my life. You can pray all those prayers, but without obedience, you're not priming the pump. Now listen, I'm not talking about salvation. I'm not talking about, you got to give to get saved. This is not a prosperity gospel church. That's not what I believe. If you ask Jesus in your heart, you're saved. He loves you. No matter how much you give, it can't change how much God loves you. He loves you, he loves you, he loves you. He wants to fill you with his spirit. He wants to be close to you. I'm not talking about salvation, but I'm talking about obedience. And what obedience does is it puts us standing under his favor. Obedience allows us to tap into something that is beyond what we could tap into on our own. But are we willing to prime the pump? We're one step of organization away from obedience, and obedience leads to overflow. We're one foolish car payment away from really being able to step into obedience. Sell the car, man. Get a cash car. Step into obedience. Stop going out to eat as often. Rachel and I had to do this. Step into obedience. Delete Amazon. I don't even know if that's possible. Jeff Bezos is about to assassinate me. I don't know, but what are the things that you need to stop clicking so that you can just step into obedience? Obedience will lead to overflow, but lack of organization will keep you from the overflow. Come on. Let me just read you a few verses. Luke 6:38, Bible says, give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For the measure you use, it will be measured unto you. A lot of people love that verse, but don't do nothing with it. We know the verse, but we're not stepping into obedience. Malachi 3:10, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty. Prime the pump, watch what happens. And see if I will not open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be enough room to store it. Proverbs 3, honor the Lord with your wealth, from the first fruit of your produce. So your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with new wine. 2 Corinthians 9, he who sows sparingly will reap sparingly. When we won't prime the pump, it's because we have our purse on the throne. We put what we can see and we put what we already have and we put it on the throne. We keep it for safekeeping, and we can't step into the more that God has for us. I'm not going to trust him. I'm not going to trust him, and I'm not going to test him. This is what we do. God, I don't trust you, and because I don't trust you, I'm not going to test you. Well, if you don't trust him and don't test him, then you're never going to taste what he has. We pray for God's blessing over and over and over, but you're not going to taste and see that the Lord is good. But we have to test and trust. to see it first. So, what we do is I gotta unprime the pump. Is we stand here with the pump. Come on, baby. We stand here and we say, hey, God, I want you to bless me. Lord, I want you to pour out into my life. I want you to bless my children, God. I want you to bless my finances. Lord, do it. We come up to a prayer partner. You know, I want you to partner your faith with mine, that new job would just really open up. And I'm going to go to life group. And God, my boss is just a jerk. And I haven't got a raise in 3 years. And so, God, I just want you to do something. God, why aren't you doing anything? Man, my rent's going up, my transmission's slipping, and God, I got all this stuff. And God's saying, the answer's been here the whole time. All you have to do, is take what you've got and say, hey, God, I understand that I have to be obedient to do what you've called me to do. And when I prime the pump, you're going to let it flow in my life. Can I tell you, I'm not a magician. This is not a magic trick. It's structure. It's just how it works. It's the function. Did you know that God built for us some structure that we can follow? That if we'll be obedient to do the thing that he's called us to do, that we're going to see an outflow in our lives. Okay. That's good. So what do we do to obey? What do we do? 2 things. How do we obey? We return the tithe and we offer the offering. Return the tithe and offer the offering. You know, the tithe is something that God calls us to give consistently. 10%. The 10% is just reflection of the whole. If you can count to 10, you can count to 1,000,000. It's all just 10 over again. Why 10%? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then it starts over again. So the 10 is representative of the 100. And God says, return to me what's mine and watch me open the floodgates of heaven. We return the tithe and we offer up the offering. An offering is just something we offer to God. There's a lot of Christians that have never given an offering because they've never given the tithe. We say, hey, God, I feel like you're telling me to give this, to take a step of faith, to go above and beyond the tithe that you've called me to give. But he's saying to give an offering. You know what I know is that faith without works is dead. Guys, this is a hard word. It's a hard word. I'd rather just do a song and a dance up here and sing some more songs. But faith without works is dead. James chapter 2. What good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? And then he gives an example. Suppose you see a brother or sister who has no food or no clothes. And you say, goodbye. What a jerk. Goodbye. Have a good day. Stay warm and eat well, even though they don't have nothing. But then you don't give the person any food or clothing. What good does that do? Verse 17. So you see, faith by itself isn't enough. Unless it produces good deeds, it's dead and useless. If your purse is on the throne and you refuse to give, you don't really have any faith. He's your Savior, but not your Lord. Amen? Some of y'all got your purse on the throne. Hey, ladies, some of y'all got your purse on the throne. Pastor, it's so hard right now. I know it's hard. That's why we have to trust that it's not just about what we can see, but it's about what we can't see. We have to understand that there's a difference between a resource and a source. There's a difference between a resource and a source. So here's all the resources. These are all resources. You know, a resource is something that you can draw from. Your job is a resource, right? Your boss is a resource. Your bank account is a resource. These are resources, but they are not the source. There's a difference. And what we can do is we can put our faith in our resources. And we start to think that our boss is the one who provides. We think that our bank account is the only thing that matters. We think that this resource is what's so important, but we forget about the source that won't run dry. And when one of our resources starts getting in trouble, we lose our mind because we only look at the resource instead of remembering the source. And some of us, we're working ourselves to death trying to grow the resource. And if you just quit starting businesses for 5 minutes, if you'd just slow down all the side hustles, if you'd quit playing the lotto and doing all these get-rich-quick things, and say, hey, God, instead of me taking my life and focusing on the resource and start to believe in the source, you could step into the more that God has for you. I'm not mad at you, I'm mad for you. Because the devil wants to steal, to kill, and to destroy every good gift that God has for us. 1 Corinthians 8:6, there's only one God, the Father, who is the source of all things. He's the source. Our job is not the source. Our income, our revenue, our investments, the bank account, those things are not the source. They're just a resource. So how do we take our purse off the throne? We get organized, we get obedient, and be willing to prime the pump. Be willing to do the thing that God called us to do. Baby, would you come up here? Rachel and I are tithers. And so Rachel and I, we both were tithers before we even got married. She was a waitress working at Bob Luby's. Bob Luby's?
Yeah.
Tithing. I was buying and selling cars, tithing. If I made $1,000, I'd bring 100 and give it to the Lord. Tithers. And we've seen God do incredible things in our lives as we've been faithful to Him. But in this season, we have some needs. We have some prayers that we've been praying, and it's just felt like no matter what we did, we couldn't see breakthrough. And as we're praying, we felt like God said, hey, prime the pump. Have some faith, Pastor. Because faith without works is dead. Have some faith. He said, I want you and Rachel to give an offering. And so we prayed about it. And it's taken us 6 months to prepare the offering that God asked us to give. And between last week and this week, we've made a decision that we're going to give the offering that God's called us to do, because we need to prime the pump in our lives. And so last week during worship, Rachel and I, we walked over to this giving box and we gave our offering. And today we have the second half of our offering that we gave. I believe that a pastor's life should be a canvas that he paints upon to teach the people that are in his church. I don't give to get. Right. I give to submit myself. I give to say, hey, God, our plan, right. I don't want it on the throne anymore. I don't want my power on the throne. And God, I don't want my purse on the throne. And so we have to be willing to say, hey, God, we're going to submit ourselves to follow what you have for us. And so this morning, Pastor Whitney is going to come in just a moment. If you notice, we skipped announcements today, and she's going to make a few announcements maybe and take up the offering. And when she takes up the offering, I don't want you to feel emotionally compelled to give a big gift right now. Right. We're doing fine as a church. This is not like, oh no, We got to drum up some money. This is God saying people need to learn to take their purse off the throne, and Truston, you better teach it to them. And so this is not a thing to drum up a big offering. This is a thing to teach so that we can step into organization and obedience. And when we do that, we'll see the overflow.